The main reason you want to keep your site updated is for monetary reasons. You want to attract more customers, and more customers equals more money for you. And that is the main reason you want to keep your site up to date, but you want to keep it fresh and new. Top 5 things you didn't know about keeping your site updated is the visual appeal. The visual appeal on your website is very important because it is what attracts people to your website, and it's what makes people leave your website. When we're dealing with the visual appeal of your website, we want to focus in on the colors for your website, if they're appropriate for your industry or what you do. Certain colors like blue creates like a calming effect. Colors like reds or yellows tend to make people shy away from your website. They create what's called a fight or flight response, because when the human eye sees very bright colors, it wants to kind of get away from it. So you don't want your website in these super bright colors. That's the reason color is important for visual appeal. Another thing we're going to talk about is typography, what people call, or most people know by font. You want to make sure you have the appropriate font for your website. And again, this is crucial because depending on who your audience is, if you have older clients, or even just regular clients in general, like if you want to create a certain feel like a formal or established look, you would go with sans serif font. Or if you wanted like a more informal, trendy feel, you would want to go with a serif type font. Next is the spacing on your website. You want to make sure everything's not cramped or cluttered on your website, because when people see that, it creates that same type of feel for your actual end user. If there's a lot of clutter or crampedness on there, they have like sort of like a tight feeling. You want to have a lot of space on your website. You want everything to kind of flow, and you want it to create more calming feel for your customer. Because the more calm your customer is, the more likely they are going to buy your product, buy your services, or hire you for what they need. Another thing you want to focus on is the focal point. Does your website have a focal point as far as when people come onto your website? Is your service or your product highlighted? Is it the focal point of your website and kind of the main thing people see when they come onto your site, so they know exactly what you do? Again, like all this visual appeal for your website, it creates more money for you done correctly, but if done incorrectly, and your site is kind of just sitting there and not generating any money for you and no customers. The next thing that you probably didn't know about your website is SEO. And SEO, in short, stands for search engine optimization, and it deals with how search engines actually find you. Like when people go into Google or Bing or Yahoo and type in a keyword or phrase, it deals with how people actually find your website. So if not set up correctly, then when people do their searches, they can't find you. Just to sum it up, how this works is tiny bots go into your, or search bots go into your website, and they look for keywords. They look through your text, images, video, links, and basically all of your content. So you just want to make sure you have a lot of keywords for your industry on there, and relevant keywords to help out the search engines. And what they do is they go and take all of this content and they send it over to their database, or they store this information. So when people go and do searches on keywords, their search engine actually goes searches this database, finds like relevant information. And if you have a lot of relevant information, then you'll come up in the results. Maybe not on the very first line, but you come up pretty high in the results over time. So you definitely want to make sure this is set up correctly. And again, this contributes to you making money through your customers. If you have a lot of customers coming to you and actually buying your goods or services, if your website's hanging out there again with bad SEO or little to no SEO, and people can't find you when they do their searches, so it's not just good enough just to have a website just sitting there. If the search engines can't find you, and the people can't find you, and you make no money. The third thing is social media and sharing. You want to make sure you have some kind of share capability on your website. And nowadays, this is the digital word of mouth and how people get word out about what you do and about your website. So you want to make sure you have some kind of share capability. Because if one person shares it with their friend and then that person shares it with another friend, you get a lot more people coming to your website, and it gives you more potential to have new customers, and the customers buying your services, which equals more money for you. The fourth thing is mobile or multi-device. Is your website set up for mobile? Can people view it on their smartphone? There was a study done by smartinsights.com, and they referenced the Morgan Stanley report that said that there are more mobile devices nowadays than there are desktop computers. So the chances of people logging onto your website dramatically increases with mobile devices. And the study also found that people actually stay on their mobile phones longer than they do on desktop. So you definitely want to make sure your website is set up for mobile and people can view you. If not, and people are just looking at you on your desktop, you're missing a huge industry, being that mobile outranks desktop nowadays. So again, you're losing money and potential customers, and that's the top reason why you don't want your website just sitting there not set up correctly for mobile. The fifth thing is the tracking. Does your website have tracking on it? And if not, and how do you know which pages people like, pages people don't like? Uh, what part of the country or world they're logging onto your website from, so your language is set up correctly, or even like how long they actually stay on the pages that you have there for your relevant information, so you know what's effective and what's not effective. You want to make sure you know what type of devices that people are logging onto your website with, so you know how to optimize or kind of lay out your website to make sure it's a pleasant viewing experience for all of your customers. And again, this translates into more money and more customers for you. So you definitely want to get that situated. Again, this is why having a website simply is not good enough, and the top 5 things you didn't know. Thank you.